It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your host, Nicholas, and as always, I am joined by the final girl, Natasha.
Hi. If you want bonus content like voting on a monthly episode or seeing our monthly movie lineup, you can join our Patreon. And if you want to get in touch with either of us, check out our links below in the description. This week, we'll be going over Nick's birthday episode choice.
Yeah!
Psycho Goreman, which is a 2020 Canadian science fantasy action horror comedy film written and directed by Steven Kostanski. It follows Nita, Jose Hanna, and Owen Meyer as a young sister and brother who unwittingly resurrect an ancient extraterrestrial overlord.
Now, what kind of film did you say this is?
This is a science, fantasy, action, horror, comedy.
I mean, really, what more do you need? It checks all the boxes.
Really?
Right?
You need nothing else. It's all the movies.
This is the Hungry Man microwavable meal of movies.
At one point, I believe he's wearing a cowboy hat, so we could throw in Western.
Oh, he's not wearing a cowboy hat. He's dressed exactly as Sam Neill's character from Jurassic Park.
Oh, I see it now. Down to the bandana around his neck.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, that's glorious.
So now, like usually on these episodes and whatnot, we go over budget, right? There's not much budget to talk about. It's not listed anywhere. And the box office is kind of negligible because it wasn't out a lot, right? But there was a lot of like what's the word, like rumblings when this came out because it looked so ridiculous. And I was one of those people. So I'm going to tell my history real quick with this film, and then you're going to tell yours. So my history of this film is I remember seeing just a random fucking ad like online, maybe it was Facebook or whatever, and I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, wow.
And it hadn't come out yet. And day one that it was available on POV, I bought it. I just straight up bought it. Then later on, it came out on Blu-ray, and I bought that. I think I own every way that you can get this film so far. Not to put the carriage in front of the horse, but that might tell you why I picked this film. But there are very few films that kind of fill this gap, and this one, it hits for me every time, and it's ridiculous, and I love it for it. So that's my history with the film. What's yours?
My history is much shorter. I watched it at your house years ago.
Okay.
And you were like, hey, we have to check this out. And that was really all I had to go off of. And I got to show it to Drew this past week also. And he kind of had the same sentiment rolling into it. The first few minutes, he's like, why? I don't think I can do this. What are we watching? And then he was like halfway through like, oh, hey, it's growing on me. Yeah,
it's so weird. Like I knew going into it the first time, like it just had this vibe to it that I was like, this is going to be schlocky, over the top and everything. The thing that kind of separates this from your standard kind of, I don't want to say garbage film, because this is by far not, like, this is not a garbage film, okay? But like it's so like made in your garage kind of feel and everything. But the writing, the fucking dialogue and timing in this movie, the comedy in this movie is untouchable. Like we were talking offline, off recording and shit, where I was just like writing down quotes, and I had to stop because the entire movie is quotable, and there's just so many like dumb instances. But then that like dumb aspect of it is then paired with just like some over the top gore.
Yes. To make anyone cringe.
Oh yeah. Like the lore and world building in this movie is amazing. Like it starts off with like, and I'm not giving anything away yet, you know, we're not into spoiler territory, but it starts with like a fucking script like roll, like it's Star Wars. It is like giving you all of this on the world of Gygax, you know, all this stuff. And I'm just like, fuck yeah. Gygax being a reference to Gary Gygax, the creator of Dungeons and Dragons. There's just so many influences that you can just see on its sleeves. It's basically like, okay, let's take Power Rangers, the movie E.T., the band Gore. Like it's just all this shit. We're just gonna smash it together and it's great. Like, you know, but something that's insane. So you see this movie, right? And it's made by a production and directing company called Astron 6. This movie is written and directed by the same man that wrote and directed The Void.
Oh wow.
So Astron 6's movies are more in tow with this film than it is The Void. They did The Void as let's make a legit fucking like horror film. They tend to make more like splatter comedy kind of stuff, you know, like Dead Alive and things like this would be in that kind of wheelhouse. It's very splattery. Like the gore in it is not even close to believable. I believe there's a scene where basically entrails of a body and a spine and all that stuff are fashioned into a sword. So like that's what you got to look forward to in this movie. But yeah, so all that being said, PG, Psycho Goreman, our main character, I wonder if this has something to do with it. When he speaks, every single time, it reminds me of the cybernetic ghost of Christmas Past from the future from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's very much. I didn't
pick up on that.
It's very much like a million years ago before Sigourney Weaver. Like just like the fog rolls and he just tells the story because it gets to that point where like he's telling this stuff and it cuts to other characters and you could just hear him muffled in the background still telling his story as others are doing other things, and that is. I love that. Like I finally got my cybernetic ghost of Christmas Past from the future solo movie is basically what it is.
Yeah, there you go.
But writer-director Steven Kostanski came up with the film's idea when he watched Rawhead Rex. He hated that film, but he thought, what if Rawhead Rex met E.T.? Other influences, like I said, included Masters of the Universe, so He-Man, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 90s. So I can see that, like all the battle scenes and stuff, down to
100%,
down to the sparks shooting off of people. So fucking cool.
And what about the mouths not matching up? I don't know if that was just me or that was one very Power Rangers, but what was the reason for that?
Well, because for instance, Psycho Goreman, the actor playing him, Matthew Nyber, is not the voice of Psycho Goreman. That is Stephen Vlahos. He did the voice for him, and there's a lot of that going on where it's just after it's shot we're gonna voice over it, and yeah, it does. I don't know if it's intentional in the sense of to make it feel like Power Rangers, but yeah, they're like, especially like the what are the angel looking people, I can't remember. God, what are they called?
I want to say the Valkyrie, but I don't think that's
No, it's not Valkyrie. It's something like Crusaders, but it's not Crusaders.
We'll get there. We'll figure it out.
But even them, like it's just like very like the mouth barely moves, and it's like all this like super big like, yes, I have saved the universe by blah blah blah. And oh my god, it's so fucking great. So anyway, so director Steven Kostanski is responsible for movies such as Manborg from 2011, Father's Day from 2011, The Void from 2016. He did The Leprechaun Returns in 2018, and then just this year he released a film. This is the only one I think of his that I haven't watched. It's called Frankie Frico, and it's like it's got like a puppet movie. It looks very similar to like the Garbage Pail Kids kind of film.
Oh boy.
So like,
okay.
So real probably gross out comedy kind of thing, which I'm here for. I know that that's on Blu-ray. It's in my sights. I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm gonna get it. But yeah, so again, I mentioned that this was made by Astron 6, which was a Canadian film production and directing company founded in 2007 by Adam Brooks and Jeremy Gillespie. The company later expanded to include Matt Kennedy, Connor Sweeney, and Stephen Kostansky, who are now equal partners in the company. Astron 6 is known for producing low-budget 1980s-centric independent movies that often combine horror with comedy. They ended actual production and stuff back in 2020, it says. Their last film, though, did just come out this year, so sometimes that takes a long... Like, the movie itself, the production of it was done then, I guess. But, yeah,
I can't believe it took 4 years for them to edit and do the background stuff for a movie such as Psycho Goreman.
Well, the thing about that is like when you're talking about a film that is low budget and stuff, you're not getting all your money right up front and then you just block out like 6 weeks and we're going to shoot it and that's it. You know, like sometimes it takes a lot longer. You shot so much of it. Well, now you have to get some extra funding and everything. So sometimes there are times where movies just take years and years to get made. Sometimes those films get made and then they just never see the light of day. So that's always sad. But so the what's his name? Matthew Nyber, our actor who plays Psycho Goreman. The full makeup took many hours to apply, often requiring Nyber to be the first person to arrive for shooting and the last to leave. He spent so much time in the costume that the crew failed to recognize him without it.
I think that's hilarious.
Well, the thing that would be shocking to me is like watching this film, right? And you hear his voice. He's very much like this. And then to like meet the guy that plays him and like that voice is not him. It'd be very much like meeting Darth Vader. Like, right? Like the actor that plays Darth Vader is not James Earl Jones that does the voice. So it'd be like, no, I'm Darth Vader. You know, it's just like, oh, okay. Matthew Nyber is over here is like, yeah, I just did the fucking Psycho Goreman. And it's just like, that's not the voice that I thought you would have.
Yeah.
But let's see here. There's a lot that I want to talk about before, like after spoilers and stuff. I will say before we get into that though, if you haven't seen this film, it's like Shudder kind of exclusive unless you want to pay for it.
Right.
Which get your 7-day free trial. You know, there's so much fucking good stuff on Shudder. It's not even funny. Like it's a staple in my household. Not sponsored. Shudder, if you want to hit me up, you know, let me know. But I will say that the character Greg, that is played by Adam Brooks, the dad, is my favorite character in this film. So just let it be known that Psycho Goreman, the titular character of this movie, amazing character. Not as good as the dad.
As the dad who doesn't even play a pivotal role in the movie.
No, he's too busy getting his hand hurt.
Dude,
and cooking a delicious chicken dinner for his family.
Oh my God. I started out liking him, and then as the movie went on, I just wanted to smack him in the face.
Oh yeah, he's a horrible character. It's just his delivery on everything is so fucking good. So this came out in 2020. So 2020 was the year that it hit the festival circuit and stuff. So that's when it said it came out in early 2021, like on streaming services, but we're going to compare it to what had come out in 2020. Obviously it did not make the top 10 grossing films for horror, because I believe, and I don't have the number in front of me because I felt it was just kind of whatever, we weren't going to do the guessing game on it. It's like $180,000 is what it made, somewhere in that ballpark, man. Because it didn't have wide distribution. Like the same thing was with The Void. The Void I think only made like $74,000, right? Because it's independent, super independent, right? But for kind of testing the waters, seeing what it was like, you've got The Empty Man, Freaky, Come Play, the Grudge remake, which I still did not know that they did. Brahms the Boy 2, Gretel and Hansel, The Turning, The New Mutants, Fantasy Island, and The Invisible Man. 2020, because of, we had the coronavirus and all that going on, 2020 and 2021 are kind of dump years where they just were like, fuck it, like, we're not going to put out our good stuff. All that being said, I have heard, and I've not watched it, but I have heard that The Invisible Man is super good, and also it is like gaslighting the film, where like that's a huge, it's a huge thing in it. It's like not believing the person that something's happening. So we'll watch it eventually. I think it might be on the list for next month. I can't remember. So
I've seen none of those movies listed.
Let's see here.
I haven't even heard of half of them.
Well, Freaky, I remember that one. That's Freaky Friday, but it's got Vince Vaughn in it, and he's a serial killer, and he swaps bodies with a girl, and yeah, it's lame.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of good stuff, in my opinion, for that. But also, if you look at 2020 for like the actual just films in general, not horror films, Call of the Wild came in at number 10. The Invisible Man came in at number 9. The Little Women remake, the Dr. Dolittle remake, Birds of Prey, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Jumanji, The Next Level, Sonic the Hedgehog, 1917, and Bad Boys for Life. So 2020 fucking sucked.
No, 1917 was amazing.
Okay, I've not seen that.
So take that out of it. It's a one-shot military movie.
17. So is that World War One?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's following a guy going to like find he's in the mayhem, and I believe he's like on a journey essentially, I think trying to find his brother or something like that, but it's just him, it's following him just across the French countryside.
So it's Saving Private Ryan for World War One, in a sense. Go find the person.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
Are you about to say that you've never seen Saving Private Ryan?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What the fuck?
Those words did not come out of my mouth.
What do you watch? We have talked about this like just last week. You were like, I haven't seen 28 Days Later. I'm like, oh my God, whatever. Before this podcast, you were not huge on horror, and I'm forcing you through it. But then now you're going to tell me that you did not see like Saving Private Ryan is arguably fucking one of the best military films ever made. Arguably. It's not mine, but.
Okay, think about when it came out.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't a big military movie watching fan when I was like, what, 7?
You were way older than 7. You would have been like middle school, maybe high school when it came out.
Okay, also still didn't.
You've seen Braveheart, right?
Not by choice.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we're going to talk about Psycho.
I've seen Fury. I've seen 1917. I've seen Hacksaw Ridge. I've seen a lot of the newer ones based on old times.
So you've never seen Full Metal Jacket or Apocalypse Now?
I've seen Full Metal Jacket. I haven't seen Apocalypse Now.
Okay. So not big on the Vietnam movies. World War One, the super side tangent. Guess what? We're going off the rails. World War One is like the most interesting war to like research and stuff, because at the beginning of it, you have legitimate like French cavalry. And by the end of it, you have planes. Like, it's just this fucking insane. Like, it's literally like a chapter changing,
Yeah.
So that's why it's like World War One is referred to as like where the world came into what the modern world is now.
Got it.
Anyway, my God. Okay. It's my birthday. We watched Psycho Goreman. After this point, we are going to start getting into spoilers. If you have not seen Psycho Goreman, like I said, it's on Shudder. There is a paywall elsewhere, but you can get Shudder for 7 days free, and you're going to find a shit ton of stuff on there, whether it's like independent horror, international horror, some classics. And by classics, I mean like fucking like ones that you want to watch, but
I will say the paywall is worth it. I spent like $3.50 to rent it. It's worth the $3.50 and then some.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 40 minutes that will be some of the... Okay. You have to go into this. This is what I did with Tasha. You have to go into this knowing that it's like a splatter version of Power Rangers. That's
yes.
it. If you're down with that, you're going to have a great time. If you're not down with that, you're not going to watch this and be like, okay. I think this is a love it or hate it film. Like, you are either on board with it or you are not.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know anybody, and maybe I'll find out later. I don't know anybody that would watch this and be like, this is all right. It's like, you're either going to like think it's really funny and like charming, or you're just going to be annoyed by it and hate it. So, all right, without any further ado, we are going to search for the gem of Paraxidise and talk about Psycho Goreman.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
All right, Tasha, let's get the shit out of the way. Since it's my birthday, you decided that you wanted to swap. So yeah. I need you to give me the 1 out of 10, this heresy, this person that I wouldn't want to party with at all. Can you imagine? I'm sorry, but can you imagine watching something like this? This is, again, going back to, it's not trying to be Hereditary. It's trying to be a good time. You're going to drink some beers, maybe pack a bowl, whatever you do. And you're just gonna fucking have a good time. Like, before we even get into this, I just remember the first time I watched this, it was like just kind of with a group of friends and just like fucking like, this is what we're watching. And no one else had even heard of it. And I was like, this is what we're watching. They just see the name and they're like, what the fuck are you making us watch? Everyone laughed and had a good time. All right, let's hear it. 1 out of 10 from the...
I can read now? Okay.
No.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Can you read?
You're mad at me, and I didn't even write this.
I'm not mad. Just disappointed.
This movie... It's so much worse. This movie sucks. It's like a gore movie for kids.
Hell yeah, that's great.
It is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I loved The Sister.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you have Wyatt watch this? Oh, wait.
No.
You didn't have him with you. Are you going to let him watch this?
I don't know now.
Come on. Goddamn.
After seeing how violent it is, while it's schlocky, like you said, I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Okay.
Anyway. It's like a gore movie for kids. Nothing about this movie brought me back to those old days of good gore comedy. I didn't laugh at all with this movie, which is shocking.
What?
And was hoping for it to end most of the time. The cast is horrible.
Not even.
The acting is one of the worst I have ever seen, and the plot couldn't be more predictable.
I don't think it's trying to be twisty and turny. It's like, hey, we got this big monster, man. I guarantee there's going to be a lot of murder. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
If you really liked old school gore movies, this is not for you. This is for the new generations that are allowed to watch, quote, adult movies at 12 or 13 years old.
Whoa, settle down, Karen. Allowed to watch horror films when you're 10 or 11. Go fuck yourself.
Wow.
Well, that's such a fucking, like, I was that kid back in the fucking early 90s. Like, it happens. Different strokes for different folks, but this person can stroke off into fucking traffic.
So if you are under 18, you might love this movie. I hate it and hope I never have to see it again. Psycho Goreman character is the only good thing, and the costume is awesome, but nothing else. Mimi, his brother, or her brother, her parents, and the first bad guys to be killed, and many more. I can't act. What?
They can't write.
No. Mimi, her brother, her parents, the first bad guys to be killed, and many more can't act, and that makes this movie a pain to watch. I'm going to watch Severance now, or Dale and Tucker versus Evil, to bring some joy back to good gore comedy movies.
That's funny that they like Dale and Tucker versus Evil, because I think it's in the same ballpark as this. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and I would agree.
And like the argument that I do see online a lot with this movie is Mimi's character like being insufferable, or people love her. Like that's like the end all be all. Reminds me a lot of the main preppy boy from Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is you're either going like, I don't think that there's a redeeming quality in that character. I think he's just annoying. Like he's meant to be like evil and annoying and whatnot. But you're willing to, I don't know. Like I do understand that the comedic acting in that movie is better depending on the person, right? But this isn't trying to be that. I think this is legitimately not trying to be like a smart comedy. It's supposed to be, it's very Adult Swim, I guess is the best way to describe it. It's very Adult Swim.
Because there are so many things that Mimi did or said that could have had like a little backtrack behind it to add that like just extra goofiness to it. I'm glad it didn't. But there were so many times that like in my head there would be like an additional sound going along with what she's doing, or like after she said something, like it's pingable, it's memorable. Yeah,
and I love the fact that like there's even times like that she like will like be like ripping into somebody and whatever. It's like, I'll break you into a pile of bones. No, that doesn't work. Like I love that kind of aspect of it. Like it seems very real, and like even though it's so amplified and stuff, like those kind of little like nuggets of character that are thrown in there are just very real. Like that she's just like, nah, fuck, I gotta try better. I gotta fucking come up with something better. Okay, so you gave me the 10 out of 10. Let's see if this person puts it on the pedestal that I do, and see if I wrote this through another body. All right. The horrors you've just witnessed cannot be unseen. My favorite movie of 2020. Oh god, that line fucking okay, we'll get there. I saw the trailer of Psycho Goreman and I knew immediately that I had to see it. Rarely does a movie live up to its trailer. Well, this one sure does. It is outrageous, offensive, and hilarious, and creative, and is full of wild imaginary creatures, and it's gory. Really, the complete package if you're into wild cinema. The creatures are inventive. The walking cauldron of body parts it collects from battles, then shoots blood out of its cannons has got to be my favorite. Take one look at the picture of the little girl on the back cover, and you should know what you're in for with the lead character. Mimi, played by Nita Josie Hanna, is thoroughly obnoxious, sassy, and amoral. She is a riot and has immediately become one of my favorite horror movie characters. She's playing a game with her brother at the beginning of the movie where the loser gets buried, and guess who that is? If you're into sinister, evil, and this one's a little girl characters, it really is a great deal of fun. Okay, so they actually kind of focused on something that I wouldn't have thought about. But yeah, Mimi's character is obnoxious, and she is sassy, and she is amoral, and that's what's amazing. For instance, when she goes and prays to God. Every single time. Like, it's just so fucking great. Like, the forgettable characters are meant to be forgettable. Like, the brother's just whatever, the mom's just whatever, right? But Mimi, Psycho Goreman, and the dad are like the trifecta of this movie. And then the fucking creature effects are so cool. They're not like the highest quality, but they're not trying to be. Right. It's supposed to be like Power Rangers. The little like skull guy that's in like the jarred thing that's at the council and stuff, his reactions to things are always like, oh my god. Like all of the time. I just love it.
It reminds me of if Kermit didn't have the felt over him. A lot of like the chin movements remind me of how they would like articulate Kermit's face.
Yeah, for some reason his like jawbone is able to like tuck in under his like upper palate and stuff like that. But yeah, like that council was actually only in the movie for one scene when scripted, and they just really liked the way it was going, and they just kind of kept periodically popping them in here and there, like, and it's for dumb shit. They're just like watching it and like arguing over noodles and shit like that. It's like, you're hogging all the blue noodles, or the bloonals, I think they're called.
Bloonals.
The bloonals, and he's just like fucking just jamming them in his face. So fucking dumb. So great. I would love, this is one of those movies that like, if it ever came on the market to buy a prop from it, I would. Like, this is one of those kind of weird fucking movies that I would do that for.
If you could have any prop, what would it be?
Oh man.
Would it be the sword?
Oh god, the spine sword is so fucking cool. If it had to be something that I could actually fit in my house, I would probably just say like the gem of Paraxidise. Just because it's small, you can just put it up on whatever. But if I could literally have anything, the cauldron suit is amazing. And like when it gets
going for it.
Oh yeah, when it gets bashed in, you just hear it go like, "Oh my god!" It's just so fucking good. But like I was saying earlier, this movie is so goddamn quotable. I saved like a few quotes. And also this movie has influenced me so much that like my PlayStation account and like my handle for a lot of things, you know, comes from this movie. And it's not Psycho Goreman or anything like that. It's Hunky Boys.
Yes, it is. It's so quotable that you have like infiltrated that into the girls. I've heard them say it to you, and they're just quoting you, quoting the movie.
Yeah. Well, because the first time you see it, you know, like Mimi brings some catalogs for him to like keep him busy or whatever. And she's like, "Here, just look at the Hunky Boys." It's like, "I do not care for Hunky Boys." The camera slowly pans back into him. Or do I? Later on in the film, during the battle scene, the fucking magazine gets ripped. It's just, "Not my Hunky Boys."
And that's what does in the other
fucking
character.
Died laughing. Like the first time I saw that, I still laugh every single time. But yeah, so there you've got that. You know, there's the scene where after Mimi has her brother dig his own grave because he lost Crazy Ball. She's like, "Come on, finish up so I can bury you." You know, like they go in for bedtime. Oh, what do you got?
Not just bury him, finish digging so I can bury you and go to sleep. Like that's what makes it the best. It's just like, I just want to be done with this so I can go to bed.
I don't even want to bury you, but it is the fucking contract that we have to fulfill. When they go into bed and they're asking about monsters, and Luke asks Dad, like, you know, "Are monsters real?" Dad's like, "Is there such thing as Luke's like, "Is there such thing as monsters?" And Greg's like, "Well, here's the thing, Luke. In a lot of ways, humans are the real monsters, so I'd say yes." And the mom's just staring at him like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And that's like the first time you see Greg, and that's about the most normal he is through the film, because he is just a fever dream going on throughout the film. The kids later on at the dinner table are talking, like trying to cover their tracks because they've been hanging out with PG all day, and the mom's like, "So what'd you guys get into today?" And they're like, "Oh, we were playing guns in the forest." which Greg is like, "Guns? That sounds like fun. Back when I was in the army, we used to play guns all the time, except it was called the Iraq War. We played for keeps, meaning I killed people."
To which the mom quickly debunks that, because you've never held a gun.
You have no, and he's just so disgusted, like, "Oh, how dare you demasculate me in front of the children." And that's the same scene. God, it's the same scene where he's like, "You like that chicken?" And everyone's like, "It's super tough." You know, the microwave, it's really just brings out the flavor. It just microwaves
It's
a
so
whole
gross.
chicken for the family.
And then he doesn't clean it up afterwards. And then there's like this really weird, tense scene where he's like staring at his wife.
Yeah, she goes to open the microwave. Oh, Jesus. Greg, what did you do to the microwave? And he's in the living room just looking over at her. Cooked a great meal for my family. That's what I did. You're welcome. She's like, it's totally wrecked. He then whispers to the camera, you're welcome.
Weird.
It's so fucking good. That's all the quotes I got from Greg. Like, I actually have the entire script on my computer because like I was looking for quotes and couldn't find them, so I found the script and it just like went through it because I wanted them so much. But this movie, God, what are your high points, Tasha?
Just a lot of Mimi, where it's funny that like you like the dad and you are a dad, and I like the raccoon rabid little sister, which I am your little sister. And Drew asked me a couple times, he was like, so were you ever like this to Nick? And I was like, God, no. But I wish, like, she is who I wish I could have been.
She your spirit animal?
Yes. Just the shit she gives. Like, when they're... One of my favorite parts is when they're just walking to school and the bell rings and she just chucks Luke's homework across the way and takes off. Like, just stuff like that. She is my spirit animal. I would have loved to have been her when I was like 11.
She cannot help but be an absolute asshole at all times. Yeah. It's great. Like, I guess I can see where people will be annoyed by that, like if you don't like that kind of comedy or whatever, but it's so on the nose that's what I was saying. Like, you're either going to like it or you're not.
Because it could come across like she's really overacting and just taking it to 11. But that's what I love about her. There are a couple bits like you had mentioned when she's praying to God, praying to like the crucifix or whatever. Like, that's one of the few times where I think it's just gone too far. And it might just be because everything else she says is so quippy and short. And that's like dialogue.
Yeah,
right,
it's a whole scene, basically.
Yeah, and then she breaks the crucifix over. I was just like, what? So we're going against Jesus now? Like, this doesn't make sense, but
remember,
whatever.
She doesn't answer to anybody. She doesn't answer to anybody. I do what I want.
There were a couple times where she wasn't a complete asshole, and it was when Alistair was around.
Oh, yes, because
her love interest.
But she's not getting married to Alistair. They're just going to stay together forever and be together and blah, 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 and fight a lot like mom and dad.
Right. Even after Psycho Goreman turns him into a gigantic brain.
Yes, a brain monster that you end up seeing just eating dinner with his family at the end of the film.
Like, no big deal. Just tentacles everywhere at the table.
The Psycho Goreman, PG for short, there's so many times that he like throws some stuff out and the kids just are like, they don't even understand what is going on. So he's like, the horrors that you have just witnessed cannot be unseen. Your minds will carry this until it consumes you in miserable death. And Mimi's just like, cool. Just like shoots it down. It's like this super heavy thing. It's just like, okay. Or, you know, there's the time where he's talking with Alistair and it's like, says something to the extent of, how is it? Basically like, it's nice to meet you. He's like, I hope you die. And he's like, okay, bye. Oh my God.
I feel like this is such a hard movie to really like go in line with, because one scene that we might be talking about midway through then triggers something either like well before or well after.
Yeah.
As you were talking about just him with these like long phrases to people that don't care. All I can think about is when they're walking through the woods, and I believe he's having yet another long discussion with the girl or with the kids, and the half melted. We need to talk about the half melted cop. That whole part is another just glorious scene where he passes the heart. Where he passes the Valentine to Mimi. It just says kill me, please, in blood. And she is so pissed that they wasted paper and it wasn't like just all of this love for her. And the cop is in the background. The cop is in the background just fumbling around trying to shoot himself in the back of the head. Oh my god, like that is writing gold.
Yeah, every time that fucking cop is just like swinging his gun around. Oh, I'm crying. Oh god.
It was the greatest.
Yeah, like,
And PG's trying to be so serious, and it's just complete lunacy around him.
oh my god. So like it starts out the first time you see him, right? He like shows up and fucks up some hobos and everything. This is how like the pacing of this film works so well. You know, he's like he fucks up these like thieves and finds the ringleader, and he's like, oh, I don't want to die. He's like, then live forever. And he's like, his eyes are rolling around, and the kids show up later on. They trip, they knock him over on accident, his head just shatters. He's like, my masterpiece.
And it was by complete accident by Luke. Like, he didn't even mean to do it.
And they're not fazed by it. They're like, oh, sorry. Like, this dude's head just exploded. Now, what's really interesting, going back, all the blood and stuff like that happens in this movie, which is obscene. Like, it's just like it's so much. The kids are never on set for any of that stuff. They were actually forbidden to be on set during it, and it's insane. Like the fucking scene where he's fighting his generals, and basically, was it Dark Scream, the one with the crown and stuff? He like bests him, and he's like, I'm going to give you an honorable death.
Oh.
Those scenes are so fucking ridiculous. Like, oh god, no. It just starts eating him and puking up blood. It's just his entire. Then they're at the diner later on, and he's doing the same fucking thing with like hamburger and French fries. He then goes on to talk about like where he's from. There's like a French fry hanging off of his face. This movie's a fucking fever dream.
Oh my god.
And I love it.
In the best way.
Now, Skastansky has said that like he may make a sequel to this, which I am for. Like, or a prequel, whichever, right? Because like the film ends with the end of the world. You don't really realize it, but like you're like watching the news, and he's just a giant now, just destroying the city, and everyone's just kind of hanging out. Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
okay. Oh my god, I gotta take a second. I have laughed too much.
But Mimi's family will be spared. It
Yes.
doesn't matter. She didn't care about anybody else, but giving that rock or giving the stone back was just saving her family.
Oh yeah, and then the dad is just like, oh, you could tell him to not kill the entire world, and she's like, oh yeah, and then doesn't. She just does not care. The dad's in the background like staring at her like, dude, seriously, just fucking say it.
And as soon as he goes away, like the portal opens and it's like to the diner, just shooting everything. Like you know where he is, which I thought was amazing.
Oh my god, there's two scenes that we haven't even talked about that are huge in this film. One of them being the musical number.
Oh god.
Frig off. An amazing song.
No, that part, it was forgettable.
Oh, come on. I love it. It's so dorky. I'm here for it. The other scene, oh no, it's escaping me. Well, there's the one where they're walking through the town. I believe it's during that song, and like a kid is staring at Psycho Goreman in a weird way, and he blows the child up.
Yeah.
No one's safe in this film at all.
Except Mimi.
Yeah, basically. That's about it.
Whoever Mimi wants to be safe is safe because she controls Psycho Goreman.
Oh, I had it. Now I can't remember.
I can't think of any other scene.
There's a huge scene that I am forgetting.
I mean, there's like the exposition dump where he's like talking about how he became him.
Yeah, that's cool. Like that's
Or
the whole...
like the fight scene with the mom turning into one of the superheroes also.
See, that's one of the things, like, that's part of the movie that I'm not crazy about and stuff, where like she drinks the stuff and then she's going to go kill the husband, which I like that aspect of it, but like, oh fuck, it's gone.
And then in true Greg fashion, after she comes out and is like trying to stay conscious, he breaks his arm and goes and like falls on her and it's like, I need you to take me to the hospital. As she's like, she just was an alien.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the way that Greg would handle these things. Okay. Oh, and that's it. I remember the scene. So Psycho Goreman has been poisoned by the blade and they need a ride. So what happens? Psycho Goreman somehow sends a message to Greg while he's in the bathroom. You have to go find me. Falls in the fucking bathtub. He's like, I don't know where you are. Basically, like, this isn't exactly what he says, but it's just basically like, down by the Walmart off of 3rd Street. It's like, I don't know where that's at. You take the second left. Just fucking...
just has to keep coming back.
Howled laughing at that scene last night, and I have seen this movie probably 10 times, but it's so like literal in your face and just like pulsing and everything, and just the way Greg reacts to it is fucking gold.
But he shows up.
Yeah, he does show up. Remember? Does this look lazy? And then he even asks fucking PG, like in the back, he's like, do you think I'm lazy? The motherfucker's like dying in the back of your truck, and that's your concern.
Your concern.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So low point in the film is I guess if I had to have a low point, it's kind of like the Pandora, right? The angel lady. Her and the mom's like little thing there. It okay. Like it serves the purpose because then we get the crazy ball game at the end.
Yeah.
And everything. So we got equal teams, whatnot. But all in all, this movie stands on its own. I can't compare this movie to any other film. And part of me, like, I'm totally down for a sequel or prequel or whatever, but if it never happens, I'm okay with it too, because this film is, I'm going to hand this film down for generations. So, are you ready to get into our reviews?
Yep.
All right.
Bring up my calculator.
I'm going to guess that you give this film an 8 out of 10.
You're correct.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I was mulling it over last night, and then we didn't do our pre-episode reviews, but I was going to originally give it, I was thinking a 7, and as I've talked and as I've cried, yeah, we're giving it an 8. I already know I'm going to watch it again at some point in my life.
Oh, hell yeah. It's so good.
Because of so many reasons. Yeah, Mimi is amazing. If they ever did a sequel, I would want her in it because her dynamic with Psycho Goreman and her brother is just so over the top, and it makes Psycho Goreman funny. It makes the character of PG funny because of how she reacts to him. It's not serious at all, and he gets so frustrated. Yes. And to think of like an alien overlord as just being irritated,
the Archduke of Nightmares.
Right.
And like he says something and she's like whatever, he's just like, oh, just annoyed. Exactly.
That's great. It like takes away all of his power essentially, and just turns him into just an annoyed adult to a kid. And it's
100%. It's so fucking good. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Nice. What do you think I'm giving this movie?
A 10 out of 10.
God damn right. God damn right. This movie. Okay, so Steven Kostanski is one of my favorite directors. Period, because of this and The Void. Like, god damn, how the fuck do you come up with these two things that are so wildly different in tone and everything. Oh my God, forgot. Okay, so the scene where he's fighting all of his generals or whatever, and there's like the robot with the mustache and the little bird on him and stuff. This scene makes me laugh too, where he's like making him look into the pit of darkness, and the hand comes out and just rips his face off. It's so fucking good. This movie packs so much ridiculousness in like an hour and 35 minutes. It does not give up. If you don't care for it in the first 10 minutes, you're not going to care for it after an hour and 35. But if you do, you're in for a fucking treat. So yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. You're giving it an 8. The internet gives this film a 6.3, which I think is actually like a decent score for it if you're just taking, you know, the standard person, right? Like, you have to, I'm not saying that you have to have been raised with Adult Swim, but god damn, it helps.
That gives Psycho Goreman an 81.
Nice. This definitely deserves to be in the Pod of the Dead Hall of Fame. Like, fucking flat out. I love this movie so much. I honestly can't say enough good things about it. You know, I could go on forever, but it would just be me walking you through the film. Right? So I'm not going to do that to the listeners. But we are now on to homework. And for homework this week, I actually I did mention this movie when we were talking about Psycho Goreman. I didn't realize that we were covering a film from the same year, but we will be covering The Invisible Man next week for the podcast. I knew it was coming up in December. I just didn't know it was next.
That is on Prime Video, Freevee, YouTube. So it looks like there might be a paywall for this one, or possibly Shudder.
Is it on Shudder too?
I don't know.
Okay. I was gonna say I didn't think it was, but
it was an assumption. Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, Google Play, Apple TV.
Okay. Yep. We will be watching The Invisible Man from 2020, not the original one from like the 50s and stuff like that. The new one. It's got the girl from The Handmaid's Tale. She's in it.
Elizabeth Moss.
There you go, Elizabeth Moss. She's in it. So that film, that's the one that we'll be watching for next week. We're Pod of the Dead. I am Nicholas.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us or frig off.